Hi, my dear friends. Hopefully, all of you fine and safe. I am also be fine and safe, my dear friends. I would like to bring to your notice important topic for your forthcoming examination, especially for the December 2021, like a cakewalk. Look and understand foreign trade policy 2015 to 2020, which has been extended up to 30th September 2021. Well applicable for your December 2021 examination, my dear friends. Before presenting the foreign trade policy, I would like to bring to your notice important announcement from our Unacademy is as follows. CA Iconic Program, a flagship program for CA final aspirants, wherein you have live mentoring platform LMP, one-to-one doubt solving followed by evaluated test series, printed books from Unacademy, top educators as well as Yashas Academy educators, Discord, community building platform, one-to-one live mentoring in Iconic has been launched now, my dear friends. Give your exam preparation an extra edge with our new live mentoring platform, wherein we have experienced personalized learning like never before with our seasoned doubt solvers. Discuss your doubts, clarify your concepts and enhance your exam preparation with just a click in Unacademy application. Get your live queries solved on daily basis from top subject matter experts. Now, evaluated test series has been launched. Give your exam preparation an extra edge with our latest addition in Iconic subscription. Iconic subscription, you can subscribe 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. Pick a plan which you like for CA Final Group 1 or CA Final Group 2 as you like manner. While registering, please use my referral code RAFILIVE to get 10% flat discount from the existing subscription price. Further, my dear friends, you can also be subscribed combo, CA Final combo, Group 1, Group 2 together you can subscribe. Use the code of mine RAFILIVE to get flat 10% discount from the existing subscription. Now I am presenting in front of you the subject of foreign trade policy. Just look and understand is as follows, my dear friends. Now, my dear friends, the entire foreign trade policy has been designed such a manner that to meet the competition globally. In this process, the government of India framed the following export promotions without violating international trade practices. Presenting here, first one, duty exemption scheme, in which we have advance authorization scheme, duty free import authorization scheme. I will explain to you by diagrammatic presentation. Duty remission schemes Under that, we have drawback scheme, duty drawback scheme, duty remission scheme under the GST, which is also be export incentive only, my dear friends. Reward schemes consist of merchandise export from India scheme. Now it has been replaced as remission of duties and taxes on exported products with effect from 1st January 2021. Services export from India scheme, SCI scheme, star exporters scheme, for them status holder scheme, followed by EPCG scheme, export promotion capital goods scheme, permitted to import the capital goods without payment of import duty or duty saved. Capital goods can be imported to use for manufacture of finished goods. I will explain to you with the help of diagrammatic presentation. All in terms of diagrammatic presentation, just look and understand only. Further, we have EOU schemes, export oriented units. Further, electronic hardware technology parks, software technology parks, BTP biotechnology park schemes, followed by deemed exports. I will refer to you. Further, special economic zone units or special economic zone developers. The entire foreign trade policy is going to be confined with this export promotion schemes. With the help of DGFT, Director General of Foreign Trade, the Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry is the ministry formulating this particular policy to meet our international trade practices objectives without violating any provisions at international level. Meaning thereby, Director General of Foreign Trade DGFT is a mentor to prepare this foreign trade policy with the help of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Of course, SCZ unit is different from FTP, but I cannot be able to discuss and conclude the foreign trade policy without touching SCZ. They are the real heroes to earn the foreign currency into India. My dear friends, now I am presenting in front of you first advance authorization scheme, which is one of the export incentive scheme, is as follows. Advance authorization scheme. Assume a scenario. X Limited, being a manufacturer in India, imported the goods from outside India, from USA. Raw materials imported like this. Raw material A, raw material B, raw material C, raw material D. The value of import CF value 100 lakhs, for example. In the given case, X will be able to pay import duty. If you pay import duty and clear the goods, after manufacture tomorrow, exported the goods and claiming duty drawback, where his valuable money is going to be locked in the name of duty in the hands of the Department of Customs. Therefore, the government of India said, hey X Limited, you don't worry at all. We are permitting you to import the goods because we know you are a manufacturer in India making the goods in India to export. We permit you to import the goods without payment of import duty, without payment of BCD, without payment of IGST, all other duties. You apply for advance authorization. Under the advance authorization, you permitted to import without payment of import duty. After manufacture, export. Once you export, do not ask any export incentives because the incentive is given before you export. That means advance authorization is a pre-export benefit. If the X Limited obtained advance authorization from the DGFT, Director General of Foreign Trade, how long it is valid? Means it is valid for a period of 12 months from authorization to import the goods without payment of import duties. I said here, raw material imported within 12 months from the date of authorization means permission granted to import. They imported within 12 months from the date of authorization without payment of import duty. CF value worth rupees 100 lakhs, raw material A, B, C and D. Now in India, he is manufacturing that goods for export to outside India, to any country, not only to USA, but any other country also can export. In our given example, I mentioned export. Export of what? Finished goods, which has been manufactured with the help of raw material A, raw material B, raw material C, raw material D, with a value addition minimum 15% FOB value export. Such a export should take place within 18 months from the date of authorization. Within 12 months from the date of authorization, you import the goods. Imported goods should be manufactured. Produce the finished goods. That finished goods should export outside India. If so, when you have to export, within which period means within 18 months from the date of authorization. You can supply the goods locally also as to SCZ unit, but ensure that when you import the raw material without payment of IGST, in that case ensure that to manufacture the finished goods and export outside India, called as physical export. In that case, my dear friends, you are permitted to redeem your actual user condition. That means the goods which has been imported, raw material A, raw material B, raw material C, raw material D, what you imported which has actual user condition, a charge, unless you manufacture the finished goods using the raw material and export within the specific period of time with a specified value addition. You are not permitted to use the raw material A, B, C, D for any other purpose other than the purpose for which you imported. Therefore, here I have been manufactured using raw material A, raw material B, raw material C and D, finished goods. That finished goods product P I exported within 18 months from the date of authorization with a value addition of 15%. I imported 100 lakhs worth of the CF value of the goods. Adding the minimum valuation 15%, I export the FOB value at 115 lakhs. If there is any spare parts what I imported wanted to export as such along with my final product without manufacturing, I can do so, provided the mandatory spare part up to 10% of the CF value of authorization to export along with finished goods. That means what you imported CF value you can use as such in exported final product as a spare parts, mandatory spare part and export without manufacturing, provided that CF value of import should not exceed 10% of the total CF value of import. Now for example, I am exporting product C which is a mandatory spare part along with my finished goods product P. How much is raw material imported product C? 2 lakhs. Out of 100 lakh what percentage? Only 2%, which is well within the 10%. Therefore permitted to export product C along with my final product without manufacturing the product C, which is a mandatory spare part, should be exported as such along with the finished goods. Further, my dear friends, I can also have the annual advance authorization. If I have previous year exports, In that case, CF value of import is equal to up to 300% of the FOB of physical exports in the preceding financial year and or for value deemed export. Nothing but for value means deemed export. Together, how much I made export in the preceding financial year? Let us say I exported in the previous year, let us say 150 lakhs. 150 lakhs made an export, multiply by 300%, which is 450 lakhs or rupees 100 lakhs, whichever is higher, that much of advance authorization throughout the year I can get, which is called as annual advance authorization. But ensure that you should have to have export performance in the preceding financial year, without which you cannot get. Simply cannot apply arithmetical equation. Sir, today current year incorporated, my previous year is export 0, therefore 0 or 100 lakhs, whichever is higher. 100 lakhs higher, therefore I want to get annual advance authorization rupees 100 lakh. Not allowed. You should have to have previous year exports, multiply by 300%, compare with rupees 1 crore, among the two whichever is higher will be annual advance authorization. This is what, my dear friends, advance authorization concept under the duty exemption scheme. Now I am presenting duty free import authorization scheme, which is as follows. Duty free import authorization scheme. It is a post export benefit. Earlier one what I referred, advance authorization pre-export benefit. Now it is post-export benefit. How? Look here. A limited manufacturer imported the goods by payment of import duty. He paid all duty, BCD, IGST, whatever duties on import, he paid all duties and imported the particular product A, product B, product C and product D. CF value 100 lakhs by payment of all duties imported. After that, he manufactured the finished goods using A, B, C and D to produce a specified product as referred under standard input output norm SIAN. Product for which SIAN have been notified. Product A, product B, product C, product D. Raw material if I put into my production, my output is product P. In and out has been notified in particular handbook of DGFT called as standard input output norms SIAN. It is notified. That product I produce and exported with a value addition of 20%. What I imported? 100 lakhs. By payment of import only imported. I added some value addition, FOB value of my export 120 lakh, value addition 20% and exported. Now, since I exported the goods, A Limited, in the given example, A Limited, after manufacture, he exported those goods which has been notified in the SIAN, entitled to claim duty free import authorization only after he export. Only after he export. When to obtain DFIA? Within 12 months from the date of export or within 6 months from the date of realization of export proceeds. Among the two, whichever is later, within which you can apply for the want of DFIA. DFIA shall be issued on post-export basis. Further, how long the validity will take place, the license validity? For a period of 12 months from the date of issue of such authorization, it is valid. What I can do with that DFIA? If I import the goods on which I am not liable to pay basic custom duty BCD. That means DFIA can be used only for the payment of BCD, but not for IGST. You have to pay by cash IGST. Only for BCD payment you can use this particular DFIA. Sir, on import of goods, subsequently I am liable to pay BCD, I am liable to pay social welfare surcharge also. My dear friends, this particular DFIA can be adjusted against the payment of BCD, but not against the payment of this particular what we call social welfare surcharge that has to pay, and IGST has to pay. You cannot adjust the DFIA against that. Suppose I am not going to import any goods, but I am a holder of DFIA. In that case, that you can sell to somebody else who are intended to import the goods. They can use this DFIA to set off against BCD payment. Got the clarity, my dear friends? This is what the duty-free import authorization scheme. Further referring to you here, duty remission scheme, duty drawback scheme, followed by duty remission scheme in the GST. Now look here. Look here. Duty drawback scheme. As you are aware of that, there are three types of duty drawbacks for exports as referred under section 75 of the Customs Act 1962. One is called bond rate of duty drawback, second one all industry duty drawback, and third one special bond rate of duty drawback. When I export the goods after suffering the duties in India on account of import or locally purchased, as the case may be, I suffer the duties and taxes. Now I manufacture the goods and exported outside India, where I am entitled to claim duty drawback under section 75. In that case, my dear friends, if I export the goods, the nomenclature of the product, the name of the product what I exported, not mentioned in the all industry duty drawback rate applicable list. In that case, bond rate is applicable. Example in the given case here is as follows. In the given case, bond rate, if you refer here, bond rate is applicable. When means, if I export seldom a unique product which is not generally import or export, like diamonds, like COVID vaccine against a particular order of a government from other country, I am exporting such a unique product, then bond rate will apply. Otherwise, all industry duty drawback rate is applicable for my given product. If I recovered minimum 80% of my duties I already suffered, then all industry duty drawback. If I am unable to get duty drawback under all industry duty drawback concept, where unable to get minimum 80% of the duty already suffered as duty drawback, then special bond rate of duty drawback is applicable. On the other hand, my dear friends, duty remission scheme under the GST allowed to export the goods without payment of GST under LUT, letter of undertaking, or you pay the GST, export the goods. When you export the goods under LUT without payment of GST, the input tax credit on input goods and input services, you are eligible to claim as a refund. Proportionate credit refund is allowed towards export as referred rule number 89, sub number 4 of the CGST rules. On the other hand, you can also export the goods by payment of IGST. That IGST paid on export can ask for refund, incentives. Duty remission schemes. Further, my dear friends, referring to you here, duty credit scripts, which I am presenting here. Goods exported from India, MEIS, merchandise export from India scheme, followed by from 1st January 2021, MEIS has been replaced as remission of duties and taxes on export product. Earlier, MEIS covered for central taxes, central duties to get benefit under MEIS. State taxes like VAT, CST, the earlier one, state excise, these are all not covered under the export of goods scheme under the MEIS. Now, to expand the scope of this benefit to all taxes and duties, central and state, from 1st January 2021, the Government of India, to meet the objectives of the international trade practices, WTO norms, the Government of India mentioned now from 1st January 2021 onwards, remission of duties and taxes on exported products, which I will explain to you. Further, my dear friends, export of services from India scheme, SCIS scheme, is also export incentives to the exporter of services. Now presenting here, MEIS. Up to 31st December 2020, 31st December 2020, MEIS was there. We cannot simply ignore it. From 1st January 2021 onwards, the remission of duties and taxes on exported product has been brought into force. Now in the given case, my dear friends, if I want to claim MEIS, duty credit scrip is equal to FOB value of the payment realized or the FOB value has been shown in the shipping bill for export, among the two whichever is less, on which apply the reward rate. With regard to remission of duties and tax on exported products, reward rates yet to be fixed, which we later on will discuss. Further, my dear friends, the MEIS generally not allowed, which is also applicable almost all in the case of remission of duties and taxes on exported product, which is not allowed cases. Export, namely EOUs, ESTPs, who are availing the benefit of direct tax benefits, exemptions, cannot avail the benefit of MEIS. Supplies made from DTA to SCZ cannot be get the benefit of MEIS. Export through transshipment cannot be get benefit of this particular MEIS. Deemed exports, SCZs, EOUs, ESTPs, PTPs are foreign trade warehousing zones products exporting through DTA units not eligible for MEIS or remission of duties and taxes on exported products. Export, like for the deemed exports, further, my dear friends, SCZ units or ESTPs, they are exporting through DTA, not eligible for this particular MEIS or remission of duties and taxes on exported products, not eligible. Export products which are subject to minimum export price or export duty, by paying the duty export the goods which is not qualify for the duty credit scrips. Further, wores and concentrate of all types in all formation not qualify. Further, the cereals of all types not qualify. Sugar all types of all type of form unless specifically permitted not qualify for MEIS or remission of duties and taxes on export product. For the crude petroleum oil and crude primary and base product of all types and all formulations not eligible for MEIS. Export of milk and milk products and meat products unless specifically notified to grant the benefit of MEIS. In general, MEIS not allowed. What is not allowed, for what transaction MEIS not allowed, is almost all applicable for remission of duties and taxes on export product. For them also, that particular remission of duties and taxes on export product benefit not allowed. That's why I mentioned MEIS or remission of duties and taxes. Duty credit scrips not qualify. Further, export of goods through courier or foreign post, like export of handicraft items, export of handloom products, export of books and periodicals, export of leather footwear, export of toys and export of tailor-made fashion garments, where you export through courier or post parcel, the FOB value will be maximum per consignment will be considered as 5 lakhs for reward purpose. Further, my dear friends, SCIS, if you refer here, Service provider SP holding import cum exporter code IEC. If no means not eligible for SCIS. If it is yes means have you being a supplier of services, being an individual export these services, or being a sole proprietor export these services. Sir, I am individual sir, I am a sole proprietor sir, I am Mr. Rafi sir, I am Rafi and Associates sir, sole proprietor sir. If it is yes means you are eligible for SCIS provided your preceding financial year, namely previous year, net foreign exchange earnings more than or equal to 10,000 US dollars. Then in the current year you are eligible for SCIS. If not, you are not eligible. That means you are a IE code holder, but you are an exporter, individual, previous year earnings less than $10,000, you are not eligible for SCIS. Suppose I am a partnership firm sir, I am a corporate company sir, in that case the previous year net foreign exchange earnings should be more than or equal to rupees, means to say that more than or equal to $15,000, not in rupees. More than or equal to $15,000 net foreign exchange earnings in the previous year you should have been earned, being a exporter other than individual, other than sole proprietor. If it is yes, eligible for the duty credit scrip under SCIS in the current year. If not, you are not eligible for duty credit scrip. Just look in understandable manner I presented this, my friends, the criteria for SCIS. What do you mean by the net foreign exchange earnings? Gross earnings less payments. Balance will be net earnings, but its gross earnings should not include the export of goods. It is only export of services. Further, my dear friends, ineligible categories under the SCIS one can expect in the examination. That's why I brought your notice. Foreign exchange earnings from equity or debt participation, donations, receipts of repayment of loans, rising of all types of foreign currency loans, export proceeds realization of clients, issuance of foreign equity through ADRs, American Depository Receipts, GDS, Global Depository Receipts, or other similar instruments are not eligible for SCIS. Issuance of foreign currency bonds, sale of securities and other financial instruments cannot be called as earnings. Other receivables not connected with services rendered by financial institutions earned through contract or regular employment abroad, which is not a foreign exchange earnings. Payment for services received in the EEFC account, exchange earners foreign currency account. I export these services, my sales realization I have been kept in my foreign currency account only, not convert to Indian rupees. Then I am not eligible to get any SCIS benefit. Further, my dear friends, foreign exchange turnover by healthcare institutions like equity participation, donations, etc. are not eligible for SCIS. Foreign exchange turnover by education institutions like equity participations, donations are not eligible for SCIS. Further, my dear friends, export turnover relating to services of units operating through export oriented units, electronic hardware technology park, STP biotechnology parks, or the BTP biotechnology parks, software technology parks schemes, or if export through them, they are not eligible for SCIS. Export turnover relating to SCIS, the services of units operating under UOU. That means I have DTA unit, I have UO unit. Both cannot be clubbed together. Further, clubbing of turnover of service rendered by SCZ with the DTA unit not allowed. Export of goods should not be clubbed here to find out net foreign exchange earnings. Foreign exchange earnings of service provided by airlines, shipping lines, service providers flying from any foreign country to any other foreign country from India, which is not treated as export of from India, therefore not eligible for SCIS. Finally, services providers in telecom operators which has global network, if they are export these services, we cannot consider them qualify for SCIS. They are not eligible for SCIS. Telecom operators are not eligible for SCIS. Further, my dear friends, time limit for obtaining MAS 12 months from the let export order date granted by the Department of Customs to that particular conveyance, or 3 months from the date of loading the electronic data interchange shipping bill onto the GST DGFT server by customs, or printing of shipping bill for non-electronic data interchange shipping bills, as the case may be. 12 months from the date of let export order, or 3 months from the date of feeding the information in the electronic data information by DGFT in the electronic data interchange EDI, whichever is later, within which you have to apply for MAS. In the case of SCIS, within 12 months from the date of end of the financial year in which service exported. Time limit to claim MAS, time limit to claim SCIS. Further, my dear friends, common points of MAS, SCIS. MAS or SCIS holders can use it to set off only the basic custom duty. You can use this MAS, SCIS even for where advance authorization default taken place while paying the duty. That time you can able to use this MAS, SCIS. The validity of the credit is 18 months. If you holder of MAS, SCIS, you can use it to set up the BCD or import of goods. Otherwise, you can sell to somebody else. Is a negotiable instrument. MAS, SCIS are also be now eligible to grant or permitted to grant to SCZ units. SCZ units are now entitled to get these MAS, SCIS duty credit scripts. Further, my dear friends, status holders who are the star exporters who export their goods for the past 2 years and current year. As of today, they export $3 million and above, 1 star. If as of today plus previous 2 years plus current year, as of today, $25 million and above, 2 star. $100 million and above exports, 3 star. $500 million and above, 4 star. $2,000 million and above exports if they made, 5 star exporters. They have the star export status to get the assured benefits under the customs. Their cargo not generally verifying, their bill of entry will accept as such, and their import first priority is given to clear, and for them payment of tax, deferred payment of tax is there, namely clear first, pay the next. Such assured benefits are available to star exporters. Further referring, my dear friends, here, important points. FOB value deemed export of exports, how to convert into dollars to identify the millions of dollars means throughout that financial year, deemed export Indian rupees divided by CBIC exchange rate per dollar. You will get number of dollars. CBIC exchange rate as on the 1st April of that relevant financial year. At the beginning of the financial year, exchange rate of the CBIC per dollar relevant to consider deemed export Indian rupees divided by rate per dollar, you will get the number of dollars that you can add to physical exports to get number of millions of dollars. You being an exporter, take into account previous 2 years your exports plus deemed exports and add current year till the date your exports and deemed exports. How much it is? $3 million and above, star 1 exporter. $25 million and above, 2 star exporter. $100 million and above, 3 star exporter. $500 million and above, 4-star exporter. $2,000 million and above, 5-star exporter. These exporters, as I said to you, having multiple benefits, assured benefits, they are the real contributors to earn the foreign currency into India by exporting from India. Further, for granting the status, namely star 1, star 2, star 3, star 4, star 5, export performance is necessary in at least 2 out of 3 years. Previous performance should be there. Further, my dear friends, grant of double weightage is allowed in the case where the unit set up like MSME, manufacturing unit having ISO BIS standard, units located in northeastern states and Jammu and Kashmir, units located in agri export zones. Those units wanted to get star 1 for which struggling. In that case, multiply by 2. Thereby, they may reach to catch star 1 status. So, the units set up as a micro, small and medium enterprise MSME, manufacturing units having the ISO or BSI mark, units located in northeastern states, as well as the units located in Jammu and Kashmir, units located in the agri export zones are eligible for double weightage if they got, let us say, $1.8 million and above as of today. Previous 2 years plus current year, $1.8 million only. But they are located here in the units located in the agri export zone. For them, you multiply by 2. Double weightage, $3.6 million. Thereby more than $3 million to get 1 star permitted to them as a boost to encourage the manufacturers located in this particular categories. Further, my dear friends, export promotion capital goods scheme, where the X Limited is a holder of APCG scheme, permitted to import the capital goods over a period of 18 months from authorization without payment of duty or duty saved on imported capital goods, as the case may be. Imports are under the actual user condition, because that capital goods what you import without payment of import duty or duty saving you are importing, as the case may be. In that case, manufactured in India using that capital goods and export it within 6 years from the date of authorization. Import the capital goods within 18 months from the date of authorization by saving the duty on import, and ensure that using that capital goods manufacture the finished goods, and that finished goods should be exported within a period of 6 years from the date of authorization by satisfying export obligation, because this particular capital goods which will have actual user condition, a charge, you have to fulfill redeeming export obligation within 6 years from the date of authorization, which has specific export obligation as well as average export obligation. What do you mean by specific export obligation? 6 times of duty saved. For example, I saved duty 20 lakhs on import of capital goods. Multiply by 6. 120 lakhs my finished goods FOB value to be exported within 6 years from the date of authorization. If I procure the goods locally, indigenously, my 6 times of export obligation will be reduced to 4.5 times. 20 lakhs of tax has been saved. 4.5 times is equal to 90 lakhs. Export of finished goods FOB just 90 lakhs is my specific export obligation. I too also satisfy average export obligation. Average export obligation is nothing but average exports in the preceding 3 licensing years for the same and similar product. 3 years exports divided by 3. Sum up 3 years exports divided by 3. Average 3 years export will come. For example, I exported in particular 1 year 20 lakh, in the next year 25 lakh, third year 30 lakhs, total 75 lakhs divided by 3, which will be 25 lakhs average export. So if I fulfill among the two, whichever is higher, I am fulfilling export obligation to redeem up to that value of finished goods I have to export after manufacture using these capital goods. As simple as that. If I did so, then I am redemption. I am a redeemer of, or I am the person has been redeemed successfully my export obligation. Then after redemption of the export obligation, that capital goods I can sell off in India. Before that, I should not be sell it because it has actual user condition. Suppose if I am in a position to work hard and fulfilling 75% of my specific export obligation within a half of the obligation period, less than or equal to 3 years from date of authorization, I exported 75% of specific export obligation, which is going to be satisfy 100% of export obligation, then I am very good by the balance export obligation redemption not required, automatically redeemed. Meaning thereby, if I save the duty on account of import 20 lakhs, my dear friends, into 6 times 120 lakhs, on 120 lakh 75% specific export obligation equal to 90 lakhs. 90 lakhs FOB value for export, that is going to fulfill 100% of my average export obligation. Assume average export obligation 25 lakhs. That means 75% of export specific export obligation I am exporting within 3 years or less than 3 years from the date of authorization, which is going to fulfill the 100% export obligation, average export obligation. In that case, the balance export obligation automatically redeemed. Further, my dear friends, referring to you furthermore here, the post-export duty credit scheme, import the capital goods, pay the import duty, BCD, IGST and all, and manufacture it and export within 6 years from authorization, you will get the benefit of post-export authorization to the extent of BCD will be given as a duty credit script here. Further, my dear friends, the eligible product to import under the EPCG, capital goods including capital goods like fully knocked down or semi knocked down condition can import, computer software systems can be import, spares, mounts, dies, jigs, fixtures, tools and refactories for initial lining and spare refactories allowed to import, capital goods for project import notified by the CBIC, Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs. Notified capital goods under project imports allowed to import. What is not allowed to import under the EPCG scheme means second hand capital goods not allowed, power generator sets not allowed. Further, my dear friends, 100% export oriented units, EOUs, they may be EOU, further ESTP, BTP, STP. EOU is different. ESTP, BTP, STP will cover in their respective ministries. Under the respective ministries, information technology and software, under that ministry, the STP, BTP, STP will cover. Like that, EOU cover under the particular DGFT. So like that, the Commerce and Industry Ministry will be handling the EOU units. Now in the given case, my dear friends, these exporters having the status of EOU, ESTP, BTP, STP allowed to import the goods without payment of import duty. After manufacture the goods in India, export the goods out of India to earn the foreign currency. So they import free from duty and their export earning the foreign currency. Therefore, they got the benefit at the time of import. Again, they should not get any other benefits. Further, my dear friends, there must be a positive NFE, net foreign exchange earnings, positive net foreign exchange earnings, meaning A minus B greater than 0. A is our export, B is our import. Our export should be always higher than our import in a block period of 5 years, not every year. Further, my dear friends, approval for setting up units EOU scheme shall be granted by the units approval committee within 15 days as prescribed criteria. In other cases, approval may be granted by the board of approval set up for this purpose by the DGFT. On approval, concerned authority will issue a letter of permission, a letter of intent, which will have initial validity period of 2 years or further can be extended by the board of approval by 2 years, within which you have to commence the production as EO unit. Up to 50% of export value of FOB can be sold into domestic tariff area. In case of any product where the multiple products are there, exports, any one product up to 90% of the FOB value of export can also be sold DTA, but overall exports, overall clearance into DTA, all the products should not exceed 50% of the FOB value of exports. In case where EO units, new units of EOUs, advanced DTA clearances shall be permissible. Expected FOB value of exports, on which up to 50% can be sold into DTA by a new unit which is set up as EOU. These are all permissible limits within which if they act, they can retain the status of the license of EOU concepts. Further, my dear friends, deemed exports. Deemed exports are considered supplier X Limited manufacturer in India supply the goods to A Limited holder of advance authorization, holder of duty free import authorization, or B Limited holder of EPCG scheme, export promotion company goods. To them the goods has been supplied in India, or the supply of goods to C Limited who is a 100% EOU. They are called as deemed export recipients. The supply made by deemed exporter supplier X Limited has to pay the GST. Tax liability of deemed export. All supplies notified as supply for deemed exports are subject to levy of tax. That tax can ask for refund by the recipient, if not supplier. The refund of tax paid on the supply regarded as deemed export is admissible to either the supplier or the recipient, as the case may be. One can claim the refund of the tax paid on supplies made to the holders of this nature as a deemed exports. Either supplier can claim refund provided the recipient not claim refund. Recipient can claim refund provided supplier should not claim refund. Further, my dear friends, we too have special economic zone under this particular FTP. FTP, if it strictly speaks, special economic zone is not covered. It covered under separate ministry. But without discussing the special economic zone, I cannot conclude the FTP. Now I am presenting here XYZ Limited DTA unit in Chennai. Supply the goods or services to a ABC Limited unit of SEZ or developer, which is treated as separate island. SEZs are like a separate island within the territory of India. Supply to SEZ units or developer called as exports. Receipt from them called as import. SEZ units are entitled to get the benefit of MEIS, are entitled to get remission of duties and taxes on exported product, and SEIS benefits, which has been extended to special economic zone units. They are going to be sell of that in the market to encash the payment. Is a helping hand to SEZ units under the foreign trade policy. With this, I can say that, my dear friends, the entire foreign trade policy, the cream layer, has been presented in a simplified manner. Just look and understand. Thank you, my dear friends. Thank you to one and all.